Hi, I'm Judah. I'm 7 years old.
Hi, I'm Luca. I'm 8 years old.
My name's JJ, and I'm 11.
My name is Josie. I'm 7.
My name is Ezra. I'm 6.
My name is Cruz. I am 3.
Would you ever consider fostering or adopting a child? What if your life's purpose was to help children from broken families? And how would you cope raising 7 kids on your own?
I have 6 that are adopted. Then we have a foster baby that is 19 months. And he may go to his dad soon, and it's a good situation. It'll be positive to be able to help that transition if he's able to go to his dad.
On this episode of The News and You, we hear from a modern-day Southern Mother Theresa, M.K. Hill, the founder of non-profit Arrow's Nest, a refuge for children in Memphis. I'm Eleisha Foon, journalist, storyteller, and I've learned everyone you walk past has a story, and that story could change your life. So let's crack it open to discover The News and You.
So many people's focus when they want to adopt, it's because they can't have children or they have 3 boys and they want a girl. And so much of it is people wanting a child for their family instead of wanting to give a family to a child.
I love myself. I respect myself. I respect myself. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of who I am. Turn to your partner. Turn to your partner. And tell them, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here.
As their mom, I'm committed to them, and it's our family. The kids in my house right now are just thriving. They're all doing amazing. I've been blessed. They have obviously been through trauma. They have complicated stories and histories, and we have pretty good relationships with all of their birth families and visit them some as much as we can. And right now, those relationships are really positive. They all have big personalities. I don't have shy children, but they're funny. They keep me entertained for sure.
Bag in the bag. Ezra spelled bag. Ezra spelled bag. Spell bag in the bag. B-A-G. Ezra spelled bag. Ezra spelled bag. B-A-G. B-A-G. B-A-G.
Mine were all born here, but their birth parents were from other countries. My kids we have African American, Guatemalan, Puerto Rican, Honduran, Mexican. I think that's all right now. But we've had all different races and ethnicities in our home. And I've always just loved culture. I love learning about different people, different cultures, different foods. And so having them as even more motivation to appreciate cultures and differences in people. So we have cookbooks from all their different ethnicities, and we've been on trips. 3 of them have been to Guatemala with me. My oldest has been, I think, 4 times to the children's home where I go in Guatemala. And Luca, who is Guatemalan, he's been with me twice. We had his 5th birthday in Guatemala, so that was sweet, all the kids that are around his age. Then we went to Puerto Rico recently. My 7-year-old, he turned 7 while we were there in Puerto Rico. So we got to have a Puerto Rican cake and sing to him and go to a Puerto Rico baseball game because he's obsessed. He knows some of the players, and they also go to a bilingual school, and so they're learning Spanish. 2 of my boys are very athletic, and one's very musical, so it's funny to watch their differences. We were at the playground the other day, and there were a few Hispanic kids came up, and my kids were already playing hide and seek. And it's funny because a lot of kids don't realize that mine are all siblings. So when they're playing a game, other kids just kind of join in and don't realize that they're playing with the one family. But the other day, my kids were all playing hide and seek, and it was Josie's turn to count, and these 2 Hispanic kids walked over, and Josie ran over to start counting, and JJ, my oldest, said, "Hi, do y'all want to play?" And so they just started playing, and Josie immediately started counting in Spanish. And it was just sweet to see that she was even aware, like, oh, these two kids came up, they speak Spanish. It's just, she just started counting in Spanish. So the awareness that they have for other people and including them, it just is so easy to them. And I love seeing that because that's all they know is welcoming people in our home and sharing their toys, sharing their food.
Here's what waking up as a foster child feels like on Christmas morning in MK Hill's home.
What'd you get?
Mommy, look. I got the Mommy, is this all mine?
Yes.
Is this all mine?
Yep.
Mommy, I got this Jumbo Saga. Mommy, is this mine?
We're all upstairs. So I have bunk beds in every room, and thankfully I have a big room. So I have a TV and stuff in here, and they'll all come in my room and play and watch TV and things while I fix everyone's hair and kind of get them ready for school, get the baby changed, and then we all go downstairs and get breakfast, let the dogs out, and get ready and get out the door. We drive a 12-passenger van, so everyone loads up in our big party bus, we call it, and we're off. After school, I have kids that are in basketball, dance, and a play. We have flag football coming up, and the girls are going to be in cheerleading. So I'm hoping 5 of them can be involved in the same activity, because that's nice when I can consolidate and have them in the same kind of teams or organizations. Every day is different, but we just get ready for all the practices and things. And then, so do dinner, bath time, and homework. The homework is getting a little more difficult as they get older. So trying to figure out how to balance all of that. A lot of times they have to do homework in the car on the way to practice, and the 3rd grader can help the 2nd grader with her math homework. So we just kind of make it work.
MK Hill is unlike anyone you've ever met. Although she doesn't see herself this way, she's been likened to a saint, a modern-day Mother Theresa. She's a woman with endless love to give. MK has loved caring for children for as long as she can remember. She grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, with loving, supportive parents. She was spoiled alongside her younger sister. She had everything she ever needed to thrive as a child.
I grew up with mom and dad, one sister, financially always had everything I needed and never went without, never missed a meal. Went to a private school in high school, went to college, had a car when I turned 16, but always just had a heart for the people around me that needed me. I remember in elementary school, there was a little boy that had Down syndrome that rode my bus, and I was just drawn to him, and I became his buddy on the bus and kind of just sat with him. And I've always just been aware of people that needed a friend and needed someone to be there and care for them. I don't know where that came from, but I'm thankful that I have it, and I can't imagine not having it. So that's what is hard in the world, to see people that just don't get it and don't have the empathy that I do.
She was changed forever when she went on a year-long expedition called the World Race, where she travelled to 6 countries, volunteering with non-profits and caring for children from disadvantaged communities.
I started going on mission trips to Guatemala, to a children's home there. Well, there were 500 kids when I started going. They've had over 10,000 in and out of their children's home in Guatemala. So when I started going there, I decided I wanted to move there eventually, and had talked to the people that worked there, talked to the staff about moving there to work in one of the dorms, because they have the kids divided up by age group. And so I stayed in the dorms. I've been back there 26 times, I think. And a few of my kids now that are adopted have been there with me. So that's really cool.
But although her heart longed to travel and help children from different nations, it wasn't until she saw the suffering and need in her own neighbourhood that made her stay. She realised she could make a difference in her own hometown.
One of my mom's friends introduced me to a family here where the mom, she had actually aged out of foster care, and she had 6 kids. She was 23 at the time and was homeless, was staying with one of her friends, trying to figure out how to navigate the world with 6 little kids, and she didn't have a lot of family support. So she had been in like 13 different foster homes and aged out. We got connected with them and started helping plan her kids' birthday parties and doing school uniforms and helping her find housing, taking her for job interviews. She was willing to do the work and she wanted to do what she could for her kids. And so walking those things with her and seeing how hard it is to navigate and to survive in the world with 6 kids when you're on your own, not coming from the kind of support that I had growing up, it just really opened my eyes to the need here in Memphis, in the city I grew up in, to the hundreds, thousands of families that are here just like them, that just need people to help and walk alongside them.
Imke's journey to foster care began by creating a safe haven for the children in her neighbourhood. So she began to host block parties, and it was the first time many of the kids who grew up in homes of violence and crime could just be kids, play, feel safe and loved. Her charity Arrow's Nest was formed shortly after, providing a safe place for children to land.
So it kind of started before it was official. And I moved into a neighborhood, a lower income neighborhood, to an apartment and started doing neighborhood block parties. And all the kids would come over and we would just grill hot dogs and play games outside. And I would buy jump ropes and chalk and hula hoops. And we started with holidays. So we would do like a Valentine's party and have Valentine's crafts and snacks and things and play games. Probably 4 or 5 times a year at least, we would have a big party. Christmas, Valentine's, Easter, like an end-of-school party, back-to-school party. And like at the back-to-school one, we would have school supplies. And I had a few barbers come and do haircuts at one of the back-to-school ones for the kids to go to school with a fresh haircut. And so it just kind of kept growing. Just the kids found out, the kids saw me and a few kids outside playing, and they just started coming down. And so I moved to a bigger house close to the same neighborhood, and we would have about 60 kids pretty much every day, especially on the weekends, that would just hang out. We had a concrete slab poured in the backyard so that we could have a basketball goal in the backyard so they didn't have to play in the street anymore. So the boys, teenage boys, would all be in my backyard, about 30 of them playing basketball, and it was just really neat to see the community there. The parents had been in prison before, had been in gangs, were dealing drugs and in and out of jail. We watched a few of the parents get arrested while their kids were at my house, and just kind of a normal thing for them. And their parents, I feel like they were all protecting me when I was in that neighborhood. I've never felt threatened. I never felt in danger at all. It was like they knew I was the safe place for the kids and they wanted them there. They wanted better for them.
Children in foster care wait 3 to 4 years or more to be adopted. MK first fostered all the children she's adopted.
That process takes at least a year to kind of gather all the evidence, testimonies, getting court dates, make a ruling on the reason the child came in, whether it's neglect, abuse, just determining the situation. And then there's another process, which is to terminate the parental rights, or either the parents can choose to surrender their rights if they know they're not going to be able to get the child back because of the court case. So that process takes 6 months to a year. And once the birth parents' rights are terminated, then you can file for adoption. And once you can file for adoption, that court date could happen the next month. So if everything goes smoothly, normally 18 months would be like the quickest foster situation.
She's had dozens and dozens of foster children through her home and is known as Mum by many. She's helped grow and shape the lives of boys and girls through the love and influence provided in her home.
I've had over 50 kids live in my home through foster care also. So we had about 60 neighborhood kids and then the ones that lived in my home. And I used to do teenagers a lot. Right now I have 7 that are 6 are permanent, 1 foster baby. So I used to do teenagers a lot, and who are now, several of them are in their 20s and have kids of their own. And so just yesterday I was on the phone with a 23-year-old that lived with me for a while. She has 2 kids now, and her bank account got hacked yesterday. And so I was on the phone with her while I had all of my kids with me at the playground. And I'm like trying to fix her bank account and parent my kids. And just those moments, I really appreciate them because I'm like, I'm the person that she calls at 23 years old when her bank account is messed up because I was the most consistent support that she had. And she only lived with us probably 3 months. She was 17.
There are nearly 400,000 churches in America. If just one family from every third church adopted a child from foster care, every child on the wait list would have a home.
I think adoption has been so kind of glamorized where it's expensive and it's more wealthy people that are spending a ton of money to adopt a child because they want a child instead of seeing the hundreds of thousands of children around us that just need a safe place. And I mean, these kids are going to grow up, and even biological kids, we don't know where they're going to go. We don't know exactly what they're going to do. But people, I think, feel like it's just such a huge commitment to add a child to your home when it's, to me, it's just like they need somewhere to sleep. They need someone to take them to school. They need someone to show them how to sit at the table and eat a meal. And they may be there a month. They may be there 3 years. I just think there needs to be a different mindset and view of how we could open our homes more and it be okay. Like, to me, it has just added so much to my kids' lives to be able to welcome a child for 2 weeks that needs somewhere to sleep. My kids are rushing and racing each other to make the bed and get the stuffed animals out for the kids and find them a new toothbrush, and they just love it. If a child needs a safe place to stay, if I have an empty bed, I cannot imagine not letting the child stay there. And I think, you know, a lot of people, they'll see a post on Facebook that says this child was abandoned at the police station. And there will be thousands of comments on that post saying, oh, I'd take her in a heartbeat. But are you actually going to do it? Like, are you actually going to sign up and take the classes and get a car seat? Then we can bring her to your house. And it actually happens. Like, I don't think people understand that if you take these steps, they could actually bring that child to your home.
MK's priorities in life differ from most. She doesn't feel like raising 7 kids on her own has been a sacrifice. In fact, it's her joy to serve and care for the kids who grace her home. She's providing them their best second shot at life, and she's done all this without a partner by her side. She lives a full life with purpose. She's not waiting around for marriage for her life to begin, because she already has the ability to change lives where she's at with what she's got.
I've gone on dates a few times, but just never felt like anyone was going to add to our life. Our life is so full and everything works right now. So I just feel like it would have to be someone to add to our life and make it better somehow. But right now, everything seems good. And I just know so many negative sides of relationships that it makes me nervous to bring that into my kids' lives that have already been so complicated.
She's able to raise 7 children on her own with the help of her family who live nearby. MK works from home and is also a foster parent advocate through the state, helping foster parents navigate the system.
There's a pretty big foster and adoptive community in Memphis, and we all kind of watch out for each other. Like, we have a Facebook page, so if you get a new placement, like say I got a 3-year-old girl today, I've already given away all my 3-year-old girl stuff to other foster families. But if I posted on a few of these pages that said, I got a 3-year-old girl, I need clothes, I need a car seat, shoes, I would have a few deliveries today probably. People are just ready and really look out for each other in those ways.
Children and adolescents with foster care experience are diagnosed with PTSD at twice the rate of US war veterans. Navigating the challenges of the foster care system can be a roller coaster, especially going through the US court system. But MK says that shouldn't stop people from helping a child in need, and that every case is different.
So you can't tell people what to expect going into being foster parents, because you're talking about a whole court case that's deciding a child's future, that's deciding this family's future. And they're all different. Every family is different. Every child is different. Every situation is different. So we have kids that come in for physical abuse, sexual abuse. Parents are incarcerated with drug charges, just abandonment. There's all different things. Anything you can think of could be a reason that the courts place them in foster care. Making these decisions for whether or not they go back to biological family, whether they go to aunt, whether they go to grandma, they've got to pass background checks, they've got to have a house, they've got to have transportation, just so many different variables in the cases. So it's really hard to kind of tell people what to expect or how a case is going to go. Even 2 or 3 years in, cases can change. Like, you can think that a child's going to be adopted, that they're going to stay with you, but then 2 years later, dad shows up, dad's gotten clean, dad was out of state, he wasn't available, and now he is, and he can start working his plan. He can do the things that he needs to do, and the child could go to him. And so you really have to be flexible. You have to be open. And even though you've loved this child for 2 years, the courts give preference to their biological family. So I've seen a lot of situations where foster parents are frustrated with the timing and saying, it should have happened faster, but sometimes it's just not possible. And sometimes things drag on longer than they should, and it's hard. I've sat next to birth parents in court while their rights are being terminated, and the judges read some heavy words during those court hearings about severing the relationship of the birth mom, and that the child now is mine as if they were born to me. And knowing just the weight of that is a lot. And there's a lot of different sides of it. But during their adoptions, I really do try to focus on the positive, because they've all been young, obviously. They still have really good feelings about adoption, and I hope they always do. But also, I'm here to talk about the hard and the heavy too. And they know their stories. They always have. There's never been a question about where they came from. They all know, as I think they should. And so yeah, we do celebrate. There's a lot of heavy and hard, but it's also beautiful. And I know it's a picture of redemption, restoration. There is definitely a lot of misunderstanding, and it's hard. It's just a very touchy topic, obviously. There's a lot of adoptees that have had horrible situations, that were adopted by horrible families, or shouldn't have been adopted in the first place, shouldn't have been removed in the first place. But then there's also a lot that should have. There's a lot of kids that have been seriously abused by their birth families, and it's obviously needed. We need foster care. We're always going to. There's always going to be bad situations. We need good people. We need good foster parents that are in it for the right reasons and that just want to help kids. I just hope they all grow up to do something beautiful with their life and to be proud of who they are and embrace their story and use it for good. And I think right now they already seem to just have that purpose, and they seem to want to help. They want to make the world a better place.
MK is always willing to swoop in to help a child in need, but she says it's even more difficult when the foster system is overloaded with children, and many children have no other option but to spend a night on the streets or at a police station.
A few weeks ago, I was driving over to a former foster child's apartment to drop off some football tickets for her, and I saw the police standing on the corner with 3 young toddlers, and they're all on the phone looking around. I don't see any parents around. So I went over and I asked them, I said, were they with an adult? And they said, yeah, but she's already gone to the hospital. She was intoxicated. So the kids are standing on the corner with police officers, and I watched them bring the police van, and they're putting their stroller in the van, taking these kids to the police station. I had them write down my number on their notebook, and I said, they can come to my house if they need to, because like their mom only was in the hospital overnight. She needed to sober up, and then they could let her go. That it wasn't a reason to bring them into state custody. It was a short-term situation that they're hoping to give her resources for. But those kids were at my house a few hours later. I was just there at the right place at the right time. I saw kids on the corner being put into a police car, and a few hours later, they needed somewhere to sleep. She didn't have any relatives that they could go to for the night. They couldn't go to the hospital, 3 toddlers with her in the hospital bed. So at 11 o'clock, the police officers brought 3 toddlers over to sleep at my house. And if I hadn't been available, they may have been in the police station all night. There's not enough caseworkers to manage cases. There's not enough homes. So I think all major cities have different nonprofits that support foster families. So we have a few here. There's one that does like welcome packs. So as soon as a child comes into foster care, they bring them a backpack with pajamas and an outfit and shoes and a stuffed animal. So if you look up any of those nonprofits, they're always in need of donations because the kids come with nothing a lot of times. So donating to those organizations is a huge support. Providing meals, respite care, you can babysit. Here, I think it's, as long as it's not over 48 hours, any trusted friend or family member can babysit. You need to look up your local training and complete the training process. Here, it's 8 weeks of classes and then a home study. So there's usually online, there's a sign up and they'll call you and ask you questions to make sure you're serious about it and that you want to do the training. And you can join, you can take the classes and get certified just to be a respite provider. So you could do short-term or weekend emergency placements. We have kids that come in and they may come in at midnight on a Friday and there's only one on-call worker in the office. So they don't have time or the capacity to find them a long-term home, so they may just need somewhere for the weekend.
In MK's town of Memphis, there are 1,800 children in foster care, and several hundred of them are waiting. Waiting to be adopted and waiting for their forever home.
So they're not going back to their birth parents. They're just in a foster home or a group home, waiting on a family to say, I want to adopt them. There's websites where you can go and you can see these children's pictures that are just waiting on a family. There's websites, Adopt Us Kids is one, Tennessee Kids Belong, America's Kids Belong. I have a website for Arrow's Nest that people can donate. And then there's, I'm sure, local organizations wherever they are, and just see how you can get involved because the need is there and there's so many barriers and so many reasons that we have to kind of keep the kids hidden, that they don't get seen as much as they could for privacy reasons. And so they're kind of hidden. And so it's hard to bring awareness sometimes because people don't just see them out in the open, but they are there. I would love to see more people prioritize the children. And so many people's focus when they want to adopt, it's because they can't have children or they have 3 boys and they want a girl. And so much of it is people wanting a child for their family instead of wanting to give a family to a child. Just the whole picture of foster care needs to change and our homes need to be more open. For a long time, it was a lot of teenagers, a lot of older kids that had harder stories, harder time to find them placement. But when I looked recently, there were babies on there. There's babies, there's sibling groups, there's a 4 and a 6-year-old girl that just look adorable. And they're just looking at that, it's like, why are there not people lined up to give them a home? People think it's just going to complicate your life and it's going to make it harder, but for me, it just gives you so much more purpose. I feel like anyone could do it. I know so many people that love kids. I know so many teachers and nurses and just people that love children. And I'm like, if I can do this, you can do it. I've had 50 kids in and out of my home, and most of them have gone back to good situations. And when you can make it positive, it can be really beautiful to help a child reunify with their family. To see these parents doing the work to get their children back it's really fulfilling, and knowing that you are such a vital part of that. These kids, you may have them from 2 to 4 or 2 to 5 years old. That's a huge part of their life. They're developing in so many ways during those years, and to have stability, to have every meal, to have daycare and consistency in their lives, may give them the foundation that could change their life forever.
Thank you for listening to The News and You. Your support means the world, so please sign up to the Patreon for exclusive access. If this story impacted you in any way, would you consider sharing the love by giving The News and You a rating and review? I'd love to know, what are your key takeaways? I encourage you to share this with someone because there's power in our stories. So why not send it to them right now? Until next time, remember, your story matters, and there's a shared truth behind everything.